Unmute, go ahead. All set? Okay. I'll call this board of selectmen meeting for the town of Vinalhaven to order for Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. Present are Tom Anthony, Laird Olson, Leslie Dyer, Don Young, myself, Elizabeth Bunker, Deputy Town Clerk, and Marjorie Stratton, Town Manager. And number 2, approve the agenda. We have 2 additions. Laird, did you get the additions to the agenda?
Yeah.
Probably not.
7, we're gonna add Lane's Island.
I got it right here.
Oh, you did?
He does now.
So I'll have to take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Approve the minutes from the July 25th, 2023 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
I'll abstain since I wasn't here
That's right.
25 minutes.
Thought about that. Approve and sign treasurer's warrant number 6.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Communications.
I just had a few, we got a letter from the Nature Conservancy saying that they will begin giving us a payment in lieu of taxes. They never have for the Lanes Island property, Big Garden Island, Big White Island, and Smith Island preserves. So this year they're gonna give us $3,420. So
Wow.
that was nice to hear.
Oh,
We also got a refund from our workers' comp insurance. They're saying it's because of our good performance and loss prevention programs. In other words, we haven't had to use the workers' comp insurance, so they're giving us a
That's a
refund.
nice thing.
So that was $1,725.
so you be careful. No paper cuts.
And-
No paper cuts.
And I hadn't, in conjunction with our downtown project, the DOT is planning a renovation of their property as well. They're calling it the parking lot and infrastructure expansions, I don't know. But I hadn't heard anything for months, and then finally, they're starting their permitting process. And one of the first things I know, because we do it as well, is researching the National Historic Preservation Act. So I just wanted you to know that there was some movement from DOT on their project that's gonna go on, and hopefully at the same time that our downtown project is going on.
Now, where is that property?
The ferry terminal, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They're gonna expand, they're gonna demolish or move, based on if somebody wants to move build the cruise quarters.
Right.
Because they've moved
Yep.
their cruise quarters.
Yeah.
And expand their parking lot area and make some other improvements. So,
Is that it?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Speakers from the floor. Jim, you're on the agenda. If you wanna, okay, yeah, there's an agenda, should be extra.
I don't know if I printed any.
Oh,
I
do you,
s-
would,
Slacking.
okay, do you want an agenda, Jim, or are you all set? You want her to print out one?
Sure.
Okay,
I
thanks.
want to.
All
I'll
right,
take one too.
Eric? She'll bring in some. Back. Everybody's had such an exciting day that,
I actually
yes,
asked Marjorie, we need to do a push on the state about fixing the bridge on Main Street when we do our project, because they said that was when they wanted to fix it.
I hadn't heard anything about that. What are they gonna affect?
There's this underneath the bridge, there's a bunch of holes in front of those places. And they go straight down and they've got to do some reinforcement on that bridge. I had engineers over here last year, I believe.
You want this in the minutes? Okay.
Have you seen it? It's pretty big hole there.
Thanks, Lizzie.
Sure.
You're
Okay.
talking about the road, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Matt.
I can talk.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Moving on to number 7, committee and departments, reports and appointments. A, Woodard and Kern status report, Vital Cove alternative analysis.
I don't think I printed out that whole big document. We could have got it in a,
I sent you this
Email.
document in an email when I received it.
Yeah.
Our sea level rise committee is gonna meet next week on the 15th to look at it. They were involved in this grant program and in this process. I'd like to see what they have to say about it as well. But Don wanted a copy of it, so in addition to sending it to him, I sent it to you all. But certainly if you have any comments about it.
Basically, from what I gathered, they want to change the culverts to something that will mitigate flow slightly.
Put a sluice gate in or whatever.
Something like to that effect, and then redo the road bed. Total cost of $1.5 million, give or take, roughly. I don't know where we go from there as far as talking about it or what the next steps are, but
Well, it's always about money.
oh yeah. I mean, that
Definitely
project
is.
like that probably has to go before a town meeting, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you want to discuss preliminarily. I'm anxious to see what the sea level rise committee has to say about it. Certainly looking for any comments about the report or.
Because that grace period where we couldn't touch anything with that culvert is now over, right? Like
Yes.
we can put a sluice gate in and stop.
Or a dam.
Yep,
Yeah, or yeah, just dam it back up like it was.
Well, it wasn't, so something about restoring the wetlands and this, their whole proposal was to ensure
Right,
that.
the grant funds that the town received were to restore the wetland.
Yeah. And that, we don't have to deal with that anymore, or,
I don't really know what you, so there was a stipulation that we had to not disturb the wetland? for
you
a
mean
certain number of
originally in the
years?
beginning?
Yeah,
I don't
is that in
recall.
the grant agreement? Where is the
Yeah, I
statement
think,
that
I think in the grant agreement, there was. Going back when they first put that in. There was, I can't remember, like a sunset clause where you couldn't touch it for
10 years.
10 years or something
Right.
like that.
But I don't
That's
remember
come and
anything about the
gone.
wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was because of that, but once we've gone by it now, I think we could.
Well,
Dam it up again.
yeah, I know when Eric and I talked about it, I don't know if Phil recalls, we talked about it when you were still on the board about closing that up, that we would be able to because we had reached that 10-year
Yeah.
period. But I don't remember anything of, I just remember I came and voted on that back whenever it was.
So we weren't supposed to impact the wetland?
With,
Phil,
I do
according to,
remember a stipulation that the purpose was to, among other things, restore the wetland.
mhm,
And I also remember Del Webster cautioning the Department of the Engineer to not put in too big a culvert because it would flood the roads.
right,
and here we are.
deaf ears, that, the fell on deaf ears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
That was an engineer.
I was told that they had their benchmarks were wrong, and I went, no kidding.
So Millie, what would you do if it was your project?
Close it.
Dam it up?
Dam it back up.
Leave it the way it
We
was.
spent a lot of time and money giving land back to one of the landowners right on the marsh there. We had to rebuild that because when that opened up, it claimed almost his entire property. And I think instead of spending a couple more $1 million in that spot, dam it back up. Or at least dam it up enough so that it controls how much water comes in there. Doesn't have to be a complete dam, but
Like they did 100 years ago.
Right,
And it would be easy to do it in a way that you can use a little trial and error and maybe not get it all right the first time, but adjust the level of whatever you're putting in there so that you turn over the meadow, but you don't flood the road.
Right.
You can either take stone out or put stone in if we do it right.
Well, I think,
Yeah, that's precisely, as far as I'm concerned, the way to go, experiment with a level.
Yep.
Until you find one that works.
Something we can do in-house, or
Yes.
do we have to need permits, or?
I think we should wait until we get, the comments from
Sea level rise?
the, sea level rise and this vinyl cove alternative analysis, whatever that is, and then
Well,
have a,
that's this big report.
and then we should have another discussion with the, with Woodard and Kern, because clearly we don't know enough about it to sit here. We can expound on it for hours, but we don't have a clue. So I think we would be better suited for time to wait to talk with them. Do you agree?
Motion, we table it.
I don't even know if we have to have a motion to do anything, do you, Marjorie? We were just talking about it. I don't know.
Well, I guess, yeah, I'd like to talk about it again at the next meeting after the Sea Level Rise Committee meets. I'm not sure, I guess it's up to the selectmen what direction you want to take. I mean, do you want to act on this? Do you want to take something to town meeting? I mean, if there is a project, yes, there is a lot of permitting. Anytime you do something in the water, it's
Mhm.
Army Corps, it's Department of Marine Resources, of course, there's a lot of permitting involved.
That's true.
Depending on what the project is. And they're recommending, I think there's at least three different alternatives in here, so it's just
I
a
didn't
matter
read
of
that
working
whole
through.
thing, so.
It's just a matter of working through the alternatives and deciding if you want to act or not act, and, what you want to take to town meeting, if you want to try to borrow money. There's a lot of different things to consider.
Did they do the original work on that?
Well, it was the Natural Resource Conservation, NCRS.
Natural Resource Conservation Service.
Thank you.
It was their idea.
Yeah, well,
But
it's
who did
Lydia
the
Sparrow.
engineering on it?
Yeah, Lydia Sparrow spearheaded the
Hmm?
whole thing.
exactly.
NCRS.
Well,
They didn't do it very well.
I think that I definitely need to read through that because I didn't. I'm sorry, my apologies.
Well, there's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
technical
I'm sure you
data
did.
that I didn't
Every twice.
go through. I mean, some of it I didn't understand, but you can read through the pages that have the narrative and the different alternatives. It's
I had that
helpful,
with me.
but there's certainly a lot of data, technical data in here that I would have to have somebody interpret.
Exactly. So should we just
Wait.
wait until the next meeting?
Yeah, wait
And then
on it, so it's your
until you get the report from the,
It's certainly up to you, but that's what I'm anxious to see what they have to say about it.
okay, why don't
I
we
mean,
do
they,
that then?
they help with some of the work.
So we'll table it till our next meeting.
They meet next Tuesday and then you guys meet the Tuesday after that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, anything more on the status report you want to discuss, or you're all set? Okay. All righty, moving on. Millie, Public Works.
Alright, I'll be quick as I can. Right now, we're working up on Zeke's Point, Creighton Shoulders. Finally, I'm working there to try to get water off the road, so maybe it'll dry up and we can have a little easier time and better upkeep there. In case people are starting to grumble a little bit about the dirt roads, we're back out grading and we're gonna be out there today. Obviously that got shut down. And I expect if it's gonna rain through the night, you know, tomorrow either, but Thursday and then all next week we'll be grading in Devil's Neck, Tiptoe, Brown's Head, and some of the smaller roads. We started some last week as well. Looking ahead, I'm looking in September, thinking we are going to go ahead and paint out Valley Pond culvert. I'm gonna put a larger culvert in there, 40-inch culvert, which will hopefully mean a lot less things and a lot less debris that's stuck in the culvert. It'll be easier for us to maintain and clean. The one that is in there now has no bottom and barely any sides, and I really don't know what's holding it up. I just know that it needs to be fixed. But what I'm hoping is that by doing this, it will also alleviate a much more expensive project in the future of putting in something bigger in through there, which was what I was originally thinking about doing. I've asked Jake Stanley to help with it. It's gonna be need a larger excavator than what we have. We're gonna do it at night. So the cost is gonna be the 2 sections of culvert, Jake's time, and then I'm gonna rip wrap on the sides as well, to help stabilize that. And I'll probably have to rent a light bar from the mainland. That will be about it, but hoping for mid-September to do that. We'll do it, we'll close the road down at say 9 PM. I'll work with Mark, Candage and Ryan about emergency vehicles and how we want to handle that. We'll get that done overnight and hopefully by 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, we'll have that road back open before too many people know what even happened. So hopefully that will work.
Millie, can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Sure.
What's the size of the culvert that? Can you,
That's in there?
Yeah.
It's a 32.
okay,
Yeah, so
just
this-
curious.
This one's significantly bigger.
Yeah.
About as big as I think we can get the depth for there. But again, it's gonna be a lot harder for sticks and debris to get caught in there right now. Where it's so beat up, just grass gets in there and grass catches sticks and sticks catch everything else.
Right.
And we're up there twice a week right now, flushing through that and fighting with it, so I've had enough.
Yeah, no, it's time to,
The
Do
tree right on the edge of the road there's a big oak tree that's like 6 inches off the road. That's gonna have to come down prior to the work. I may see if Lauren will help us with the electric company, see if he'll help us take it down by section. A little safer than us just dropping that size tree down, so I'd like to do that. You know, there's a little bit of pre-work, but most of it's just gonna have to happen at night. And
understandable.
yeah, least impact on everyone. And then both Zachary Dorn and I were over last week to get our DOT physicals and drug testing, and we are both signed up for CDL classes. That's September 5th. It's 3 nights away on the mainland for 5 weeks. And then it's 30 hours of drive time on top of the 40 hours of classroom time. But we should have our Class B license by the 1st of November, hopefully.
Did they change the requirements quite a bit
Yeah,
on the class time?
yeah, well, it's now 40 hour, at least 40 hours, and 30 hours of driving time. It's still plenty.
No, but I mean, wasn't
It
the
was a
class
lot.
time was a lot more, so
It was
yeah.
a lot
But this
more.
class is free
And this one
too.
is free. I found
good.
one through a grant and the class was actually full. And then I called the guy and talked to him and told him we were a municipality and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I'm gonna get you into this class.
Nice.
So 2 of us are in. Dusty wanted to take it, but his dad passed away recently and he has to be in Florida for 2 weeks out of September to deal with his father's house and so on. So he misses too much time to be in the class, but We will be there.
I'm
three
glad
nights,
it
good.
worked out.
Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, for 5 weeks.
Good. That's good to know.
That's exciting.
Yeah, who's gonna take my kids first?
Leslie, I think she said she would,
No, I thought I heard Tony volunteer
right next door.
right next door.
There we go, there we go.
Okay, great. Is that it?
That's it for me.
Good. Be anxious for that culvert to be replaced. 7C, Lanes Island Stewardship. We have a lady, Trish Dunn, who would like to join that group. So kind of a motion.
It's a 3-year term,
I think, yeah.
motion to
Uh,
Patricia Dunn on
no, I
Is
think
it-
this is annually.
the annual.
I think this one's 1 year,
Yeah.
and I think the Waste Watchers is 3 years.
Yeah, this,
Yep, 1 year.
no,
Motion to have Patricia Dunn as a member of the Flint Island Stewardship Board
second,
Committee.
all in favor? And D, Waste Watchers, Jane Todd would like to join up. So
That was a mistake.
I'll make a motion to, that we appoint Janie Todd to the Waste Watchers Committee for a term of 3 years. Is it?
Until 6/20/24.
Oh, she's filling in for,
These are, well, there's either a term,
There's
a term to
2024.
2024 or 2025.
oh, okay. Oh, I thought you said they were 3 years.
They are, but the
Say,
three
but
people
there's-
on there are the net, are
Okay,
for 3 years.
okay.
The vacancies are the ones that have already.
Do you want to look at it?
I just need to know what to, so it's gonna be,
You do
Does she
24 or
want 20?
25.
does it matter to her? Does it just say 24 or 25?
Whichever one you want to do.
Okay, I make a motion that we appoint Janie Todd to the Waste Watchers Committee for a term of 1 year, in 2024, and then if she wants to re-up, she can.
Second,
All in favor?
That you know what.
Yeah, that's good to have some other people getting on that. It's a good committee. Old business, 8A, 2024 wastewater budget.
If you've had a chance to look at this, does anybody have any questions about it? It's been to the sewer commissioners.
Oops, I'm sorry.
That's a pretty sizable increase, though, isn't it?
I mean, the only,
Well, it's mostly because of, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
they're not.
of the additional employees.
Right.
and that's what I was wondering, why it's gone from for 100 years, a 1-person position to now a 2.
Well, the point is that both employees will be working on the wastewater department as well as the water. So the water district is gonna be paying part of their salaries, and the town of Vinalhaven wastewater will pay the other piece of it. But we found that with just one employee and no backup, that there's a little bit of a burnout happening with our wastewater employees. So the water district and the sewer commissioners met and talked about it at length and approved, as well as the Board of Selectmen approved the second employee and the increase. And it happened in the last quarter of the previous year.
We did Will out. He did a good job. He just couldn't handle it.
Okay.
yeah.
Are both positions filled now?
Not at this point.
No.
Hopefully, there's
They
some
were interviewing.
interviewing, yeah. So hopefully we'll have somebody soon. We'll find out help by the end of this week. But anyway, so yeah, the water district, we are paying 47,000, and then the wastewater department was the other part, 30, what is it, 36, 32? Can't even remember, doesn't really matter, but anyway. So yeah, hopefully this will give that person that's on, you know, they're on call 24/7, and it is a lot for them, so. Do you want to make a motion to accept the budget, wastewater budget, or
Motion to accept budget.
second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor? I guess it doesn't matter if I'm on both of those committees, so is it?
a conflict.
If we had enough votes without you.
Yeah. We're good.
Oh, God. New business. 9A, Main State Ferry Service proposed rate increase, so.
Yeah, well, first of all, the good news is, besides the parking expansion that is planned, the sidewalk that exists now on the terminal parking lot, which a dog couldn't even get through, is gonna be rebuilt and will be an extension of the sidewalk that eventually will travel to Main Street. And I also want to say that I think, and so do a lot of other people, that the crew we have down there now at the desk is top notch.
They're doing a good job.
Considerate, patient, and patient. That's
Yeah.
important, particularly at a stressful time like this.
Agreed.
Anyway, the DOT is proposing 18% fare increase. And they've justified it with increased expenses, including additional personnel. But they are now considering several proposals that the Ferry Service Advisory Board members have suggested that allow that 18% to, instead of simply being applied across the board, perhaps being applied more in one direction than another, like summer season rates as opposed to year round. So there are a number of considerations that the Bill Pulver at DOT is considering, and is expected to get back to us very shortly with how those different scenarios play out.
It makes sense so that they would do the summer versus the winter, just do the economics. You're basically running less than capacity in winter time. So if you raise the rates, you're probably gonna drive the volume down. And whereas the summertime, it's perfectly full all the time. So you're not gonna affect the capacity by raising the rates.
Yeah. And it won't affect the 50/50 financing with the highway department either. That's the way it's financed now, and that's the way it will be financed after this, whatever develops.
Bill, do they break it down at all between the different ferries, how the cost? Do they break it down by towns, so you have an idea how we're doing, how some other ones are doing, or is it just across the board?
When you say break it down, you mean the proposed increase?
Yeah, looking at the rates. I know they've looked at it in the past, but they still look at it, it's just, that's what it is.
Well, that's one of the scenarios that we propose, is that they take that into consideration in addition to the one that suggests we spread it rather than spread it across the board. Assign it to different scenarios.
Any word on the new ferry? I mean, the Thompson coming back?
I hesitate to say.
And see Charles.
Yeah.
Means nothing.
So you report back to us when you get,
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
thanks, Phil.
Mhm.
9B, Harbor Master vote, new motor. Jim?
Yeah, the, more, right now, the harbor skip is falling out, it's at Kennedy's. And instead of having to start work on it, I decided to call my candidate, the fire chief, and discuss the idea of maybe putting a new motor on the boat. Because it's old and it's, what I would say, unreliable. It requires maintenance. Not a lot, it's not used a lot. But it's old. And when you need an engine to start, especially, I hardly use the boat myself. So I'm not really speaking for myself, I'm speaking for the fire department. I think the boat needs a new motor on, something that when you go to start, it starts up, runs well. And when you get a situation where you got somebody out on the island with a problem, or one of 100 scenarios where you've got to have that boat running and you need to get somebody there. We have the option, now let's ask this guy to take his boat and do this or do that. I think we should just have a new motor on the boat that's reliable, isn't old, and ready to go. So I got it with Mark. We initially said, I said, what about horsepower? I said, I'm thinking 150. He said, 150 sounds good. Because when you get a bunch of people in there, blows it up a lot. So I discussed it with Kevin. Kevin said it's too much power for the 4-stroke. He said 115 is better. I said, okay. I said, so I'll approach with the board to let me 115. And I'm sure that'll be fine. He said, well, the 115 4-stroke is more powerful than the 2-stroke. It's on me. He said, it'll be fine. He said, it'll be just right engine for it. I said, okay, thank you. I said, that's what we'll go for. So I'm here to ask for $13,000 roughly for a new motor for the town skiff. If you see fit,
That include installation,
that's for the motor.
so it doesn't include it, putting it on the boat. So we're looking at another,
It's not gonna take a lot from the engine on.
well, I got a steering wire and,
Right. Probably, what, $400 or $500 or something.
well,
Plus the boat's haul.
I'm suggesting 14,000, because as you say, there's always,
who's responsible for maintaining and upkeep on this boat? Making sure it's in good condition and good repair. Okay. It's not in good repair. It's not clean. It's not well maintained. It's not taken care of.
Yeah. Needs to be. That's why it's all that.
The batteries are dead, correct?
Well, it's got a solar power charger, but it hasn't been charging. So that's another issue. That's too wide.
I'm sure that there's a use for this boat and a need for this boat, especially emergency services wise.
I
But,
had to use it.
but if it's in this kind of shape, it means it's not being used very often. And I'm reluctant to put a $12,000, $13,000 motor on a boat that sits and never gets used. I have concerns about that. And if it's not getting used now, and it sits and the batteries go dead because nobody knows that it's usable, what's gonna be any different if we put a new motor on? How's that gonna change?
Next question, should it be under the EMT or
Should it
the
be-
fire
I mean,
department
if
budget?
it's
They're
the
ones that are
highest and
using
best
it.
use is emergency services, should Mark be the one responsible for it, not the harbor master? And the harbor
If you're
master
not
needs to
using
be
it,
a
that's the
secondary.
question.
And most of the things usually ever used for is if there's an oil spill to tow a boom around.
Right,
And it just sits there. I mean, we'd almost be better off to get rid of it and just have an aluminum skiff you could haul in and out when needed, instead of it sitting by the dock banging all the time.
and the stern of it's all chafed to nothing. It's riding on the pylon over there.
Maybe that's a question for Mark, though, what would his needs be, and just give him a
Right.
chance to have a voice before we make.
Right, I don't think throwing a new motor on is the answer. I think
I don't need it.
finding not something you need, so.
If I have a problem in the harbor, I just grab a bean skiff and go be over it.
Yeah,
Saves me a lot of trouble from checking it out, checking it in.
Yeah.
And, no, I'd be happy to get rid of it altogether, personally, from my point of view.
right, from the harbor master's point of view, but I guess we need to hear from Mark.
But if you're gonna keep it, you wanna have something on there when you need it to run, you run.
Right, that's true.
Eric,
Yeah, I think you might be able to downsize to a smaller Carolina skiff. I think you need some capacity. Like if there's a fire or something, they gotta throw a portable pump. Or if they do have to transport someone, well, not not sure that aluminum skiff. But the idea of a smaller boat
Yeah,
as opposed to
Well,
what,
I guess my biggest concern is it's not being maintained, it's not being used. And then
Well, if the motor doesn't work,
the motor works.
chances
the
are,
motor runs.
oh, I
Will-
thought Jim just
will
said
run.
it's not
Well,
reliable.
The batteries are dead, Pam. When they got pulled into the boatyard, they had kelp up hanging up 4 feet
Yeah,
long.
even when it runs, it runs like,
I mean, it's an old engine, but I think.
Fuel filter hasn't been changed and God only knows how long.
well, it just had maintenance.
I mean, I think if we had anything like that, if you run it once a week. And someone ran around, I'm not saying you, or just Mark or someone, if
Like a
it,
fire truck, if they just sit in the building all the time,
Go
don't
ahead,
get
Larry.
started.
if it just letting it sit, if it's just gonna be something that's gonna sit. Get rid of it and get something smaller, that's just on a trailer. They can run it once a week with a garden hose or something at the fire department.
Well, you're gonna need something for several people to get in. Several fire department. It's either that or you're gonna use somebody's lobster boat.
And that's usually what ends up happening anyways, with any, that's like I said, it's not like we haven't had any type of emergencies out on the water since we've had this thing, and it just sits there.
And that's not the one that's getting used. That's not-
Millie?
I was just gonna say in the past, when I was the EMS director, for instance, if we had a call out to a lobster boat, we usually took. Somebody would come and be right there, and we had no time lost getting out to a boat, you know, to deal with a patient. I remember when there was a Matinicus fire and we got called to that, there was no way to, you know, take a small boat.
Well, yeah,
We
you're
had to
not gonna
fly
take that.
stuff that we
Mhm.
used to lobster boats, and there's always somebody in that harbor that's willing to help.
Well, I guess we need to hear from Mark
Yes.
I would
on
definitely say
what
that.
he needs. You know, that, I'd like to hear from Mark about what he needs.
Maybe
what-
Mark and Ryan.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sorry?
Mark and Ryan.
Sure, Mark would consult with Ryan, for sure.
So,
Because if they're the highest, I mean, if the harbor master doesn't need it, then it's a question of does the fire department need it,
Yep.
emergency services need it. If they do, then we need to decide what they need for capacity and what to do with this. I mean, if it just needs to be cleaned up and gone through and made to run properly, we can do that. If we need to spend, well, if the boatyard we have boatyard do that and that they say we need to spend the money on a new motor, then we can talk about that, but find out whether we need to have the thing or not, if it makes sense to use it, have it.
Because I mean, anything, like I say, if you're down, I mean, even something like this. Unless it's somebody stranded on Strawberry Island, you're gonna go get a lobster boat or something anyways.
Yeah,
And so aside from like Eric was saying, just having something that's portable, you know, to like say, just tow a boom around in the harbor, if there's an oil spill, if the case, you can't drum somebody's skiff up. Your next step up is gonna be get some quite larger that I don't think we're gonna
yeah.
throw the money around for something like that.
so should we table this so that Mark can be consulted and give his opinion?
Yeah, I don't see why we shouldn't wait and talk to Mark and get his opinion. I mean, the boats are expensive, no doubt about it.
Well,
Unless
expensive
you-
to buy and then expensive to maintain. So
I mean,
one
I
less
could
we
see
have,
the
better.
point of having one that you could, have a trailer and haul it out when you're not using it and put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And store it, and then when you need it. It's
Well, I
ready
mean,
to
the
go.
readiness of
So
this particular boat is not ready to use ever.
I
at
have
this
never
point.
seen, I don't,
Right, no, I get you.
but,
I went, when I saw Marjorie's memo, I went down and looked at it. And this thing is not ready to use, hasn't been ready to use for quite a long time, but looks at it. So if Mark needs something that's ready to use, we need to make a decision on this one.
Yep.
Whatever we need to do.
why don't we have,
Tabling it's right.
why don't we have Mark,
Way
come
in.
next to the next meeting? And he can let us know. If he, yeah, I think that's best, have him come. So we can talk to him about it. And Jim, if you wanna, I'm sorry? No, I know, I understand that, but if you wanna be here with Mark to talk about it next meeting. Feel free, yeah.
I mean, I'm just.
Because we appreciate everything that you do, but I do know that it's hard with a boat that's old and out of state, so to speak.
No.
So gotta figure out something, what we need.
I just
So,
think he needs it more than I do.
yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll move on and hopefully Mark will be here at the next meeting. 9C. Cemetery policy. Eric?
Well, this is part of a 4-year process. Originally, we were asked to come up with an ordinance, and we came up with an ordinance. And then got given to you guys, and you had a hearing on it. And then the planning commission wanted to add something to it, and then it went back, and then nothing got added to it. So we finally just decided things would be a lot simpler if we did a policy. It doesn't take town meeting approval. You know, it's a selectmen's policy. If there's something that isn't working, you can remove it at a selectmen's meeting. If you want to add to it, you can do it too. So it just puts things in writing so that the person mowing or the cemetery sexton has something that he can give people. Because there's been problems in the past that David would tell us about, you know, the glass stuff that gets left out and it freezes and breaks, and then people planting thorn bushes and thorn trees on the lots. So we consulted several towns, ordinances and rules, and then Elizabeth, she did too. She tidied it up and made sure the wording basically in line with theirs, so.
So what would, if we decide to accept this, what do we do about an ordinance? Do we just, how do we discontinue that?
We don't have one, do we?
There's cemetery ordinance?
I think there may be something, but it's very
It's not.
small, very old, and I mean, there's no one enforcing ordinance.
No, I realize. that.
So it just seems simpler to have a policy.
Yeah, I agree.
That's,
One thing I was curious about, we've had a lot of chit chat, as you probably know, about private owned cemeteries, and I don't see anything in here about that. Is there a reason?
well, because they're not the towns.
No, but I mean that you didn't address it in some way, so a person would know, oh, okay, so I can't. I mean, about mowing, for example.
I mean, you know, the private cemeteries were responsible for the veterans lots.
Right,
There are some lots that may have perpetual care that then we would be required. I mean, when Donnie gave Cumming Cemetery, that took care of, you know, the majority of the perpetual care ones. So really, it's supposed to be the responsibility of the landowners that have the private cemeteries. But then the town does have the right, if they so chooses, to go in and take care of those cemeteries.
right, okay. Would you be able to put that in somewhere in this policy so people understand?
Yeah, I mean, talk to Elizabeth, I'm sure she can come up with.
Oh, right, you're on the committee. You know, oh, I thought you were. Okay.
a big help.
She just volunteered.
The
to be the
cemetery
payment.
trustees.
I just made it look pretty.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so it'd be like. Well, you would know
Well,
where to put
Under
it.
perpetual care, there's general care of cemeteries is detailed in the cemetery, the mowing maintenance contract.
Yeah.
So that it's more
It's more about the
specific
maintenance
in the
contract.
contract.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just to say that Elizabeth has done a monumental job of documenting in the cemeteries, not only who owns them, but who's actually in there. I mean, our records are crap. Total crap. You know, even up to the newest cemetery up to Browns that like that crap. There's people that's been buried for 8 years, but yet their cemetery lots aren't registered in their names. So Elizabeth has done such a great job with the Historical Society doing this, that we'd be lost without it.
There was a lot of other people.
You
that was one of the reasons
Some are
that,
found.
that you guys got the cemetery, because I wouldn't dare do anything with it anyway, not knowing who had a lot, who didn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's no record that was kept of who's paid perpetual care, so you find bits of information here, bits of information there, it's, yeah.
You and I need to have a little discussion though on the closing, because obviously with my right of way through, we need to find a way that works for all of us, because I like the idea of closing the cemetery at night. I just need to figure out how we can do it. It suits everyone's requirements.
So are you saying that you think that what I was just talking about,
In the mowing contract, it's
But-
more specific about where he,
but can you, would it be redundant to put it in there or?
my only concern would be is if it the contract changes and then you have to change the policy.
Right.
So we can
Maybe you
try and
can put
find some
something
way to.
generic in there about private cemeteries, saying the town does
Mhm.
maintain some lots in
maybe
private
it will
cemeteries and reserves the
Yeah,
right to
we'll see
maintain
what-
them. Something really generic.
See what kind of wording we can come up with.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, when we talk about closing the cemetery, we're not talking about physically. So like,
Okay.
somebody.
That's what I was getting a little.
Yeah,
concerned
no, I
about.
just got thinking what you were saying, nothing
see.
physically, but just saying, cause I know a time before you were there. Some of the neighbors would complain that there was people going up there,
Oh, they were.
well, you know, after hours, whatever was going on, so this. At least with this policy, you know, the deputy could go up and say, oh, by the way, policy of the town is that you can't be up here, you know.
My camera's done wonders on keeping that down though.
Right, I bet it has. So,
So, I guess we need a motion to accept
well, she was gonna add some wording, so we probably need to
Yeah, do you wanna?
did,
table
Do
it
you
till
wanna
next
wait?
one.
yes, Tom, that'd be great. Yep, thank you. Moving on. New business 9D. Discontinue use
Oh,
end of Young Road.
this was a letter from Kenneth Hopkins. All he wants, when this road was adopted, it's not called Ritz Road anymore, right? It's
No, this is
no,
the
this
other.
isn't on Ritz, this is Young Road.
Young Road, I'm sorry.
And where is
Young- I was out there today, sorry. Young Road was adopted as a town road to the stone house. So, all this owner wants is for us to discontinue from his property line to the house, which seems reasonable to me. It just,
Yeah,
because of the way the town road was adopted, he's asking for that very end of the road, again, from his property line to the house to be discontinued.
Now, is this the house that?
The stone
The
house.
stone, the old one that's up on the Fourth Farm Road comes off in it,
No, it's up on the neck,
on the neck.
past Henry Gross's place, old place,
Oh, Young was there.
yeah. My
Yeah.
my grandmother's family's place, the Merch.
Yeah,
End of it
okay.
up on that end of the island.
The way you are now.
Okay.
Any road anybody wants to give up.
Okay. I'll just begin working on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's no objection.
no, that's good, thank you. And 9E, Knox County Sheriff's Department contract. Public Safety Officer.
Who wants to grab it?
We had a meeting with Paul Pinkham and Kurt Andrick, who is the chief deputy. And also Josh Lamoy was here. When was that, Don?
Last week,
Monday.
Yeah, it was,
last,
anyway.
Yeah.
can't
It was
remember,
Thursday.
Last week.
Thursday, yeah.
So the situation has gone from bad to worse, the deputy that was hired to be on Vinalhaven has left Knox County. So we don't have him anymore. And then we've heard, and I don't know if it was really confirmed by the sheriff or by Kurt, but that I think they've lost,
Two more in, or two more they thought they were gonna lose.
we're down six deputies, right?
Yeah, I think they were.
What he said?
Yeah.
And they notified us that, they don't know if they'll be able to fill the 40 hours and that we might get daytime shifts instead of nighttime shifts. There's been some suggestion going back, to things that we've considered in the past. For instance, having a constable or what is called a public safety officer. There's another meeting scheduled for later on this week. To continue these discussions. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, but. I don't know if you want it. Don was at the meeting, Pam was at the meeting as well.
I can follow up a little bit on this one, that with the constable, it's not like we've had in the past the full time. Evidently, there are a lot fewer restrictions or regulations concerning a part-time under 20 hours with a week, was it? I can't remember the exact number, but it's something where it would augment the Knox County Police and give us a lot better protection. But the question is, it's going to come down to, at the end of the day, how much money is Vinalhaven and North Haven willing to spend on police protection? Because right now, we don't have much.
Spending a lot, but not having much.
Well, the question is, how are we gonna get there? Like Phil had the argument a few years ago, and I didn't quite believe him, but now I do with the numbers, where there's no question in my mind that if we had Knox County that works, it's the most cost-effective way to go.
If we had what?
Knox County Police that actually could give us the level of protection that the town wants. Or deserves in this case. Millie.
Do we pay the contract price regardless of whether we have coverage? or not?
No.
They suggested that we think about a safety officer or a constable. And, after thinking about it for, after the meeting and running through my head, I thought, maybe it would be smart for us to have a safety officer for the 20 hours a week or such that would enforce our ordinances at the very least.
Right.
I don't care if, I don't want to necessarily send them to training so that they're gonna be carrying a weapon. I don't think that's important. I'm sorry, Millie, if you want to do it.
Harbor master.
Not without a
slash
taser.
constable.
Harbor master /
Slash constable.
constable. We did have that discussion, didn't we?
I applied for that, but I guess everybody thought I was too rough for.
Not everybody.
We definitely,
It'd be nice to ease out of fishing a little bit.
Plus, you're nowhere near as rough as you used to be.
comes with age.
I'm not sure about that, Phil.
But, I don't think we need to have somebody walking around with a weapon. But it would be nice to have that person be able to enforce the ordinances. I mean, we can if you think we should revisit.
I've been licensed to carry a firearm for 40 years in 2 states. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, that's
I can see that.
good to know, but I think if you're out,
I don't see except in an extreme something, I don't see a need for it.
well, I would think that without having the proper license or whatever you might need, if you were the safety officer, that you would call for backup if it was a situation that you thought required a gun. I would think you would call the deputy, the sheriff's office.
You could do that, but you've got half an hour before you get into the North Haven, you've got.
But anyway, my point is that I think that maybe we should think about having somebody do that job for 20 hours a week or whatever, and that way we will solve a lot of problems with the ordinances. We have how many ordinances now, and not one of them is enforced.
Now, the other
They
thing.
might help with parking.
That's what I'm saying, parking and, all kinds of the ordinances in general, but not only that.
I think Millie would be the job also. Just so you know.
I think she has too much on her plate already to add another thing, but
Harbor master / road commissioner /
EMD on top, right?
But anyway,
What they also had discussed is that Knox County indicated that this may be necessary just for the summer months. That they may be able to not have this in the winter time, and evidently the fewer the hours, the less restrictions we have to work with.
right. So
So
it
this is
training
would
a
be a-
start.
it would be
It's
a
not
seasonal,
solution yet.
it would be a seasonal position.
Yeah.
I guess the question I have, I know, I think it was like in 2008, the town did do like assessment of what it would be to have their own police department. And I know a police department is different than having a safety officer or whatever. But I know in that you needed like holding rooms and
Right.
vehicles and backup vehicles. And what are the restrictions around having like a town constable? Do we need any of that type of stuff, or can?
We're still have a hybrid system with someone to be available, and if we do it right, I think Knox County could then take care of whoever is apprehended for whatever reason. But again, we're early, we're not.
Yep, that was just a question I had.
Eric,
But certainly, you know, if you're not gonna let them be armed, you can't expect them to be doing what a deputy would. You would
Right.
almost be acting like that constable would
Right.
be like walkie-talkie in
Yeah.
Rockland.
exactly.
And that you couldn't expect him to go down and there's a barroom brawl or there's a domestic or
Right.
whatever.
Oh, no, no,
Yeah.
no, we
Yeah.
wouldn't, that wouldn't be part of the job description, I would hope.
Well, again, we're a long way from having that full discussion until we get everything, the recommendations, all parties involved. Basically say, what are their recommendations, and we kind of then say that makes sense or it doesn't.
I mean, it's not a bad idea to have, even if they do have a deputy out here, because they don't seem to enforce the town ordinances anyways. So
They can,
they
but they
can,
don't.
but they don't.
Yeah,
So having that,
Well, that's a good point, because the Knox County Sheriff came out here to address the Board of Selectmen 10 years ago, so. And his approach was unbelievably inept. He said, look, we recognize that you on an island don't require law enforcement like the rest of the world. That was his first statement.
I remember that.
Who was that?
In the old days, we
I remember
didn't.
his name. Who was the it was a sergeant, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
and he went on and on and on, and he just continued to talk about how we didn't require the kind of attention that the rest of the
Things are
world.
different out here on the
Yeah.
island,
Take care of your own.
right?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Pretty
I've got
much
to-
like we needed vigilantes.
Yeah, I've got to say, though, I think that this current regime over there, I think they care about what we're doing and they're trying, I feel that they're actually trying to work with us.
Hope you're right.
Well, they certainly were, their attitude and their, the response we got from that meeting that day was much more positive. And they were, didn't treat us like we were, like that sergeant, looked at me like little lady, you don't know how to judge how fast people can go. So going when they go by, and it's like, I was so
You've only
full.
been driving for how long?
I said, I think I could tell somebody's going by my house faster than 25. I think I can tell if they're going 40 or 50 miles an hour. Oh, no, I wasn't trained to figure that out.
You could read the,
So,
you could
little
read the
lady.
indicator that what was saying, they were going by, though.
Anyway, I thought they were great. We had, that was a good meeting, and Josh was here, and
He's a treasure.
he's a
We need
very
to keep him somehow.
nice
Yeah.
man, and he's having a hard, it's a lot of work being the
He's
only officer. in-
proposed some interesting things in the last few days.
Josh has?
Yeah, he'll be with us.
Yeah. Cooperation and
So,
So this is just discussion and then you're meeting, there's gonna be another meeting?
apparently, I
Okay.
don't,
All right.
did you
Well, good to
hear,
know.
Margie, did they get back on
I don't think they ever did decide on it. Well, it was gonna be,
tomorrow or
is there a
Thursday?
meeting?
I didn't get an email
I haven't
about it.
talked to them today, so I'll call in the morning to see where they stand. We'll go from, I'll let you know.
I just, can't be there tomorrow afternoon or Thursday,
So let's,
so I can meet tomorrow morning, but that was the 2 days they gave us. Anyway, okay. Does anybody want to add? anything to this discussion? Okay, all set. 10, report of town manager.
I just have a few things. Unfortunately, you did vote on the discontinuance of Sailor's Way, but then I did hear from Wendy Richards, who is the only other person that lives on that road. I had written to her on May 15th and she didn't respond. She did call and she's telling me that they don't have their mail forwarded, so she never got that letter. Anyway, she does object to the discontinuance, so I'm not gonna follow through with the recording that at the Registry of Deeds. I did have a waiting period at the after your vote anyway, so it did not get recorded at the registry. I just don't feel like with her objections that we should move forward with that.
I agree. So, Tom, you want to read the
I was the one that made
motion?
the motion.
Yes,
I move to rescind my motion.
it's
discontinue.
right here if you
Oh,
want to read
sorry.
it. No, that's fine. On the memo from Marjorie?
Move to rescind the vote to discontinue by abandonment the road known as Taylor's Way that was taken on July 25th, 2023.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed?
I don't know. Sure.
Well, I don't know what your vote is, Les.
Yes.
You should abstain,
Okay.
you weren't here.
I'm sorry.
You weren't here for the vote, so you should probably abstain.
Was that the last meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, you
July
weren't here.
25th? Yeah.
But I remember us talking about it, but I
The
don't
previous meeting,
remember.
we talked about it.
Okay, so you guys took a vote
It's
on the
fine,
25th?
it's fine.
fine.
All right, then
You're all
just
good.
abstain me because I wasn't here.
Okay.
Is that? So I did receive the final draft of the June 30th, 2022 financial statement, so I should be receiving that final report soon. And I did get a notice from DOT about the local road assistance program. We're gonna be receiving 41,372, which is a little bit more than we had received for several years now. It's been right around almost 36,000, so any little bit of money helps.
That's good.
I guess I did have a question though, on that road. We motioned, so the vote didn't happen, so now will we come back to this? Or I mean, is that it on that?
Sailor's Way.
Yeah,
We're gonna be meeting with Niall. He wants to meet with Millie and I. What did we set a date? Is it tomorrow?
I think it's
Tomorrow afternoon. I don't plan to do anything more, but certainly I want to review the way that road was adopted. I'll review that with Millie and with Niall and go over the history of it and make sure we're, all in agreement about how it was adopted as a public way. I mean, we can all agree that I feel like there's a lot of private roads out here that should not be public ways. They're like driveways.
yeah.
But unfortunately, once you adopt something as a public way, it's,
Hard to get rid of.
Well,
can be.
Yeah, too, aren't you supposed to, if you get rid of them also, isn't there some sort of financial penalty too?
It depends on the way that you
Okay.
do it. There's
I
2
know
or
when we
3
wanted to
different
do it with
processes.
John Haler's Road, that was one of the things that.
Who's John
scared us.
Haler?
city board.
I don't recall
That's-
it.
yeah,
I'm
that's all.
sorry. I just don't recall it.
Yeah.
Do you have to have, Ms. Richards, just in on the discussion too? I mean, does it have to be both of them agree?
Yes, in my
So-
mind, it does.
Yeah,
Well, she's all the way down at the end of the road.
We went out there this morning and, Niall's on one side and she's on the other. They're not really that far
no, I mean,
apart.
if it's fit, head either,
Yeah, the houses aren't that
I haven't
far
been out there.
apart.
A long
either house
time.
and I think the town road ends
Right at the top.
right at the top of that hill.
Before you go down to the ridge.
Mhm.
Backwards.
Right, the red house that was Thelma and.
Well, remember when Niall wanted the road, wanted the town to maintain the road a couple of years ago. Remember that conversation, Eric?
I think that happened after me, I think.
No, but you remembered that because we said, well, we don't maintain that road, and you recall that somebody, that there'd been a culvert replaced 28 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you maintained the road in 30 years, within 30 years, then it was considered a town road. Well, anyway, we were told that it was a town road. So that they wanted it to be maintained by the town, so we said, yes, okay, I guess it has to be, because we didn't think it should be. But apparently now it's a reverse, that they don't want it to be a town road, but now they want it
One
to
does,
be.
one doesn't.
Yeah, so the Conlins who asked us to have it open to be a town road, now they want it closed and be private.
Right.
Well, of course, because you spent, what, $20,000 fixing the road up?
Yeah. So that's all I know about what's going on up there. So we'll just have to wait for you, Marjorie, to
Yeah,
come
let's
back
see what
with,
happens from you guys' discussion. I was just curious as what the next, if that was it, if we were gonna keep hearing about this.
I think there'll be more soon.
you all set, Marjorie?
I think I am.
Okay. Now we have 11, report of members.
I had a proposal last week, but I have not worked on it since. Madge and I talked a little bit, so I'm gonna dress it up, and maybe I can get Elizabeth to look at it for me to make sure I got it right.
Make the wording pretty.
No, I mean, yeah, I go what we wanted to do, but Margie's got a point, is that we're sitting here talking. What happens a couple of years from now when I'm wherever I am and you are all wherever you are? How do they carry on without?
Yeah, how do we,
A little more
how do we
substance
leave
to
a
it.
good roadmap?
Yep.
Yep. So there you go.
Sorry,
It's
something
the
flying
bird-
around.
the birds paying their ass.
I don't have anything.
I'm good.
Okay, when is our next meeting?
22nd.
The 22nd? August 22nd, oh my word.
They're doing possible, does it?
Oh, I know. Okay,
This summer has been a
Motion to
bitch.
adjourn,
can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
and we have a second.
Second?
Oh, hang on.
Oh. Oh, okay,
So would I assume that I should put the boat back in service until you decide what you want to do with it? 'Cause
not if it's not reliable, just,
I get down and clean it up, I mean, that's not a problem. But if you want it back in service, I want to leave.
Let's wait a week and we have to talk to Matt and make a decision, go from there.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, wait until the next meeting, but I don't see any reason to put it over if it's
No.
not running correctly.
I'll get down and pull up to it, clean it up and make it more presentable. And then we should decide what you want to do.
In case you want to sell it.
If you can get you for that, I'd be happy as hell. What they don't do.
Well,
Alright.
come to the meeting, on the 22nd,
22nd.
and you and Mark can talk about it then. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, so, all in favor of adjournment? Thank you, everybody.
Mike is asleep.